So the best true crime book that I read this year is Society Girl by Saba Imtiaz and Tooba Masood Khan. Originally published in 2024 in Pakistan by Liberty Publishing and in India by Rowley Books Publishers. The edition I read is the latest paperback, published in 2025. I am a fan of Saba Imtiaz's writing. I liked her fictional Karachi or Killing Me, which was adapted by an Indian production house as a Sonakshi Sinha starrer, Noor. Imtiaz researched for Society Girl with her co-author, Masood Khan. Both did a 2-season podcast, Notes on a Scandal, on the story. You can listen to it on Apple and Spotify. You can see the page on the screen, and I will share the link in the description box below. Though plenty of podcasts have been turned into books in America, I don't think anyone in Pakistan has attempted to create buzz about a book by launching a podcast first. So that's great. They interviewed a lot of people for it. But I dropped the podcast after one episode because A, both journalists have a rapid-fire style of speaking unsuitable for audio work. I mean, they are practically unlistenable. And B, they go off on tangents that have nothing to do with the core enduring mystery surrounding the death of Mustafa Zaidi. In the podcast, it didn't seem like they had much content to work with either. Well, wait till you read the book. It's well written, is a real page-turner, and takes you on a smooth ride by vigilant co-author researchers. Mustafa Zaidi was a 40-year-old poet and out-of-work bureaucrat. He was married to a German woman and had 2 children. At the time of his death, his wife and children were living abroad while he was in Karachi, the port city in Pakistan. He had been having an affair with Shehnaz Gul, a 26-year-old married woman with 2 kids of her own. They moved in the same swinging high society social circle that can be best described as Pakistani version of Desperate Housewives and Sex and the City. The 60s and 70s were openly wild. In fact, Zaidi socialized with both Gul and her husband, who, by the way, with his glasses and receding hairline and features, resembled Zaidi. Zaidi and Gul's affair had fizzled out around his removal from office. But either he wanted to marry her or she wanted to marry him, or he wanted to teach her a lesson for leaving him, or she wanted to be rid of him over blackmail. Whatever the catalyst, it all led to him being dead in his bedroom of barbiturate poisoning and or strangulation, while she's found in the room next door, either pretending to be unconscious or actually unconscious. She has Librium, a tranquilizer, in her stomach, as washed on page 226. The phone is off the receiver and Zaidi's body is entangled in the phone line. There is blood on his nose and mouth and on the bed, on which he's strangled. This is a locked room mystery because all the latches were in place from inside. The chowkidar, guard, was conveniently off duty for the day of the death. Gul's husband brought Zaidi's friends with him to the house to look for his missing wife. On getting no response from inside the house, all of them went back without probing further or checking inside the house. Zaidi had mental health issues, having attempted suicide twice before, once in college and once in university, both times over being unlucky in love, which in Urdu is called mohabbat mein nakami. And he was clearly unhinged in the months leading up to his death. The fact that he had printed 3,500 defamatory flyers about Gul, insinuating she was a high-end prostitute, provides a motive for the alleged murder. Before all this, he seems to have had a good career in civil service during the decade of General Ayub, the ruler of United Pakistan, that is, East and West Pakistan. The authors ignored the politics of Ayub years. They say Zaidi was selected on merit, but I am sure plenty of Bengali people could do just as well, who were openly discriminated against. Zaidi rose through the ranks. He was posted in good locations such as Sialkot and Lahore during Ayub's tenure, and was awarded one of the highest civilian honors, Tamgha Qaid-e-Azam. So I don't know whether there's a correlation here, but in Pakistan, contacts matter. Once General Yahya took over from General Ayub, Zaidi was unceremoniously removed from his job over charges of corruption. The charges were unproven. He was one of the 300 government officers, 38 of whom were civil service officers, who were dismissed. The removal and its aftermath is given on page 114. The sex scandals of these two generals, true or exaggerated, are mentioned on pages 82 and 238 respectively. On page 48, the authors generate a line about to-be Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's patronage of a less than reputable nightclub, Excelsior. They do this to show the lifestyle of rich and famous and powerful. The journey of Zaidi's German wife, Vera, is given in detail from pages 64 to 71, as she adapted to West Pakistan and navigated as a committed partner to a philandering husband. There's a passage on page 69 about how a friend was told to knock on Zaidi's bedroom before entering. The bedroom door had a sign, quote, "Keep silent, God is sleeping inside," unquote. When the friend knocked on the door, a famous actress came out with Zaidi. It is heavily suggested that it was film actress Alia. The wife seems okay with all of this, while the friend is flabbergasted. As to the woman at the heart of the mystery and on the book cover, Shehnaz Gul appears to be a cross between a lady of the evening, Matahari, and a conniving socialite going to great lengths to protect her reputation and marriage. She declared herself to be of Afghan nobility, a relative of an Afghan King Sultan who back in the day, long ago in 1800s, forfeited the Kohinoor diamond, the one assembled in Queen Elizabeth II's crown, to the then ruler of Punjab, Raja Ranjit Singh. She said her noble family, royalty to be exact, was exiled to Ludhiana first, and then after partition of India, to Pakistan's Gujranwala. This is given on page 36. The authors make no attempt to investigate the veracity of this royal fairy tale. On page 44, authors speak of her beauty. Quote, "Shehnaz was beautiful. She had been the most stunning girl in that horse cart of girls in Gujranwala, the most good-looking of her sisters." Unquote. Now, I don't want to sound like Donald Trump and call her average, but I don't understand the need to identify her looks one way or the other. We are not talking about Helen of Troy, are we? Is it because Imtiaz and Masood Khan believe a man would only go bonkers over a woman if she were some reputed beauty? Gul isn't, and in this book no person who knew her says she was. She is simply recalled as charming, which can mean a number of things. However, Zaidi is described as a womanizer by plenty of people, friends and foes, and the way he has been written about in this book, I don't know how much of a standard he had. I don't think beauty had much to do with his taste in and inclination for women, and I am just commenting on the basis of how he is portrayed in this book. In fact, in any other write-up, Gul and her husband would be called social climbers. Here they are simply a misunderstood couple. Gul's ever-changing statements to the police from the hospital bed, her home, and before a judge are eye-opening, because I believe they are full of lies and inconsistencies. Her answers are suspicious, bordering on the classic "I don't remember" defense of many a criminal. She does give a zinger of a reply to prosecutor, though. On page 244, the prosecutor asks her in court, quote, "It has come in evidence that after his dismissal from service, you started giving the deceased cold shoulder and finally declined even to see him, and instead developed friendship with other wealthy persons like Ahmed Pirbhai." The prosecutor asked, "What have you to say?" And she replies, "Since I was never warmly interested in the deceased," Shehnaz replied, "the question of giving him a cold shoulder did not arise." Gul has the author's sympathies through and through. who declare on page 257 that they believe Zaidi killed himself, but that it is unclear to them whether he wanted to take Gul's life or not. They also portray her as a heroic victim of West Pakistan, media, society, and misogynistic, salacious men. Her husband, a plumper, older version of Zaidi, stood by her, and I wondered whether anyone had asked for his alibi for the 24 hours when his wife went missing, when she was actually in Zaidi's house, because at the time that Zaidi is alleged to have died, mid-afternoon, is when the husband said he had been on a school run. That was his alibi, and he's the one who came knocking on Zaidi's door with witnesses to extend that alibi. He was suspicious. His statement to the police, as reported in Jung Daily newspaper, is given on page 200. The authors grip you with this retelling of events of Zaidi's life, beautifully capturing the high drama, intrigue, and chaos of a sensational case. His wife's press conference at 101 to 105, and her opinion on his affair with Gul on page 129, Gul's interview to a newspaper on pages 91 to 93, a police constable's brush with ghosts in a graveyard, which seemed like an attempt by him to get attention, frankly, is on page 164. Wife-swapping club, the Key Club, is mentioned on page 133. The elections that led to the creation of Bangladesh are narrated on page 203. And an interesting angle to the Zaidi mystery is laid out between pages 222 to 229 by the forensic consultant Dr. Sumaiyya Tariq, who reviewed the case for the authors. A lot of work has been done by the authors in compiling information, and it is amazing. And now a bit of criticism. I found 3 things off-putting in this book. One is that the book has no solitary solo shot of Mustafa Zaidi, while it has several pictures of Shehnaz Gul, many of which have been given to the co-authors by veteran photographer Zahid Hussain from his personal archive. In a book that deals with the enduring mystery of what happened to the dead poet, he is barely there. 2 miniature-sized group photos of Mustafa Zaidi are displayed, one with a friend and one with Gul. Also included is the front page of Hurriyat daily newspaper, which has a few shots of him. I don't know whether this erasure of the dead man is by choice or not, but you get more clear images of the poet on the internet, either solo shots or with his family or with other poets, by just Googling him. This is a feminist retelling, where authors take pains to identify all the sexist labels thrown at Gul for sensationalism and ridicule. They want to hold a mirror to society that has a problem with female choice, consent, and agency. And here is the second thing that I dislike in the book. In recounting the jet-set lifestyle of the rich and powerful elites, the Ashrafia, the authors cherry-pick their favorites, the ones given the pass and the ones they wish to demonize. Gul is written as a sympathetic figure. She and bird-brained socialites are given a free pass by the authors, while legendary singer, actress, performer, and fashion icon Noor Jehan is written about disparagingly just because of a connection to General Yahya, the military head whose arrogance and actions led to the division of Pakistan and creation of Bangladesh. General Yahya gets the brunt of the blame for the creation of Bangladesh, even though it is his predecessor, General Ayub, who reigned over Pakistan for a decade or so, and it is during his tenure that the feelings of resentment were cemented. But General Yahya gets the blame most of the time. A fixture in Pakistani pop culture in music and playback singing from 1940s to her death in late 2000s, Noor Jehan is reduced to nothing more than being a participant in a cat fight as described on pages 240 and 241, a verbal sling fest that occurs between her and General Yahya's alleged pimp. Yes, pimp. An illustrated image of General Yahya with Noor Jehan from a mediocre weekly magazine that nobody has heard of is reproduced here for the same scandalous, salacious effect authors lament should not have happened to Gul. What's more, this issue is not even from 1970. It's from 1978, when the elected Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's conviction was being heard as an appeal in Supreme Court. This illustrated reproduction is of events that occurred in 1970 or 1969, not 1978, but the co-authors could easily have just included the actual picture from that party. In a book that does not include a single clear picture of the dead poet, Mustafa Zaidi, an editorial decision has been made by the authors to dedicate a full page to the cartoonish, campy illustration that has nothing to do with the subject of the book. It's obvious that the authors are peddling a paper clickbait. यानी co-authors book में extra तड़का और मसाला लगा रही हैं. Stars are called stars because they are right up there in the sky through their talent, hard work, and perseverance. They are exceptional human beings, and they are more powerful than any general, president, prime minister, monarch, or religious leader because all of these titled individuals are time-barred. The respect for them is limited to their tenure. They are also divisive and don't enjoy universal fandom. But a Taylor Swift brings people together. Yes, mostly females of ages 3 to 93, but they can be Republican, they can be Democrat. Nobody's inquiring about their religion or politics. All they want to do is karaoke her songs. In a divisive America, she's the unifying factor. She's the voice of many a generation that connects with the lyrics of her songs. Shah Rukh brings people together, a feel-good inspirational figure who is the perfect soft power ambassador for his country. Pakistan is spoken of fondly because of its artists and creative people, no matter what its institutions may be to a local or to a foreigner. And that's true power. And that's why creative entities are used by armed forces, by intelligence agencies, by elected officials and political parties, by religious groups and by royal families to look good, relevant. Their time is bought to have fun. On the other side of the coin, creative entities need patronages and sponsors to make a living or to stay relevant. I mean, one of the richest men in the world has the entire Indian film industry and most of news media in the palm of his hand because he wants a soft image and they want the business and the platform. It's about having enough skin in the game so that no one can criticize you or go against you, where you control all of the media and players in one way or another. We don't see the sweat, the compromises, or the sacrifices the artists make. I believe no celebrity or entertainer in Pakistan has been bigger than Noor Jehan. Imran Khan may be second, but he's divisive. It's a shame we don't give credit where it's due. Noor Jehan lived a full life, in both a personal and professional capacity. In my view, a greater singer than her, male or female, does not exist in South Asia. The expression in her voice, the way she performed her songs, her beauty and her saris, her love life and her well-adjusted children, she had it all. She was a larger-than-life, self-made, independently wealthy, ambitious woman who was passionate about her craft. If she had lived in India, a country that genuinely respects its stars, her manner of singing would be studied in institutes. Her life would be cause célèbre and subject of a major motion picture. She would be given an honorary seat in the parliament. But Noor Jehan became Noor Jehan in spite of living in Pakistan, which has a topsy-turvy film industry, politics, social history, and lack of organized platforms for talented people. The acerbic way in which she has been brushed off in this book by the authors is not the first time I've seen Pakistani media talk negatively about her. I remember Shami Sahib on his Dunya TV show speak of her entanglement with General Yahya as if that was the highlight of her long, illustrious career. It's great to blame a woman for the crimes of men, isn't it? especially when she's in the public eye but not a public servant. Next up, a less than flattering portrayal of hers was generated in the Sarmat Khusat-directed TV series Manto. In it, she is played by Saba as an uncouth woman who cannot speak properly in Urdu, which is a racist linguistic trope that is often used in Pakistan against the Punjabis, Sindhis, Balochis, Pathans, and people from the northern areas. Everyone is considered illiterate if they don't know Urdu. In this lame TV series, NoorJehan's determination to evolve and be a better singer is shown as grooming classes on how to sit, stand, and talk. Her work ethic and passion for music is brushed off, not shown. On a broader structural level, NoorJehan's birthday and death anniversary is not recognized or celebrated by government. Television channels don't play her film songs or ghazals or interviews. Seminars are not held in her honor. Newspapers don't print an article on what she meant for Pakistan and what is her place in cinema. Several YouTube videos mention her in relation to the men in her life, even though she's a bigger name than all of them combined. I am a huge radio listener because I am on the road most of the time. I can confirm that her songs are only sporadically played on the radio, and that too primarily on Radio Pakistan. FM 89, operated by Dawn newspaper, once did a series on Noor Jehan, but that's about it. The other radio channels ignore her music. Maybe once in a while someone will play something, but nothing on a routine basis. No true blue books, biographies, or clinical assessments of her legacy have been generated in Pakistan. And it's not like we don't have a fat budget for literary or cultural activities. When I see Pakistanis lamenting the small-mindedness of Indian political leaders and media for banning Pakistani artists from working in India, I wonder what respect they envision for their artists in a foreign country when they don't give a damn about their own legends. Entertainment is a serious thing, as serious as the civil-military relations. But guess what is covered by news channels and talk show hosts? Politics, and mud-slinging politics. Usually news channels and talk show hosts look down upon Pakistan's creative people and artists. They only want to cover politics and military. Why? Because they are paid sycophants? No, because they think entertainment is beneath them and not a serious enough topic, worthy of their platforms. I know this from my own experience working for major cable TV channels. At that time, artists were used for and dumped in shows airing on Eid, because the anchors knew nobody watched television during Eid, since everyone is busy with Eid-related stuff, and they didn't care what ran on those 3 days as content. Currently, all of the anchors have their own YouTube channels and podcasts, and yet not a single one of them interviews artists or talks about pop cultural phenomena, but they love to compare Pakistan with India. Well, India gave its highest honor, a state funeral, to Lata Mangeshkar, its legendary playback singer. What did we give to Noor Jehan? In this book at least, Noor Jehan deserved better, especially since the authors sound like progressive, well-educated women. I think they have shown more grace and sensitivity to Shehnaz Gul, whose only claim to infamy or notoriety is being found unconscious in a married man's house, than to superstar Noor Jehan, who has nothing to do with what happened between a man and a woman in a locked house. The third off-putting thing are the snide remarks the authors make about Lahore versus Karachi. This is to be expected because a certain rivalry exists between residents of the two cities. Karachiites look down upon Lahoris, and Lahoris have some beef with Karachi. It's fun till it isn't. The authors make a very good research-based comparison between the nightlife and party culture of the two cities, as it pertains to the 60s and the 70s. So far, so good. But in their attempt to showcase the cosmopolitan feel of the port city of Karachi, they end up calling Lahore snooty and elitist, and much more. In the book, a Lahori billionaire thinks her city is provincial. A Karachiite says Lahore is shallow. On page 44, the authors write, quote, Karachi was open, free and fun. There was simply more of everything: art, writing, culture, poetry, shopping markets, a bevy of eligible men, and more glamorous women than anyone could count. Unquote. Now, I have no idea how the authors came up with this distinction about Karachi of the 50s, 60s, or even the 70s. It simply isn't true. I don't want this review to turn into a culture war, but the unconscious bias of the co-authors is apparent when they mention the presumably fair-skinned Iranian Parsis and Anglo-Indians of Karachi, but not the Sindhis, as if Karachi was separate from Sindh. In fact, they clearly see the injustice meted out to the Bengalis, but not the second-class status given to the Sindhis in Karachi. And all of this is done for what? To show cultural superiority of a people and a color and a language? No. The reason why the authors go to all this trouble to label Lahore as backward is because they feel obliged to come up with some reason for movement of Gul and her husband from Lahore to Karachi. That's it. The fact that her husband found a job with the Dawn group of newspapers in Karachi, and that's why the couple went to Karachi and not because Karachi was more diverse and open than Lahore, is not a good enough reason for them. They have to roast Lahore. Find Society Girl online through websites of Liberty Books, Readings and Amazon, and make up your own mind. I know this may have sounded like that I'm giving a bit of a bad rap to the co-authors over minor things. And they have really worked very, very hard. I mean, it's there. And they have written it really very well. I mean, the way that they have arranged the research, they tell a story. And they tell a story in an engaging manner. The story just moves along and you just keep on turning pages, trying to find out what happens next. But these were 3 things that I felt were unfair. But overall, of course, Saba Imtiaz and Tooba Masood Khan have done a hell of a job, and all the best to them. I especially look forward to what they will do next.